Skirmishing is one of the most important duties of a cavalry trooper. Doing it effectively is a skill we must perfect, but the question is, what exactly is the right way to link? The answer may surprise you. So as cavalry, dismounting and fighting on foot was a common practice for troopers during the American Civil War. In fact, Poinset's School of the Platoon and the School of the Squadron addresses many different ways and many different tactics in order to deploy dismounted units effectively. We are currently underway filming a multi-series episode dedicated to skirmishing. However, the question at hand is what to do with your horses when you're dismounted. When the common reenactor thinks of a cavalry troopers dismounting and fighting on foot, most will probably think of Buford's troops at Gettysburg. However, this practice was common before and throughout the war. As a standard rule, when the order is given to dismount and fight on foot, numbers 1, 2, and 3 men dismount, link their horses together, and the number 3 man hands his lead rope to the number 4 man. The 3 men, 1, 2, and 3, go forward to the skirmish line. The number 4 man stays behind lines in a safe area to keep their horses safe. So as reenactors, the link strap is the core component of this entire process, without which modern-day cavalry reenacting would look a little bit different. However, let's start with the standard way troops were trained in a formal instruction of this matter when linking horses together. Poinset's drill number 578 states the following when dismounting and preparing to fight on foot. Once the number 1, 2, and 3 men dismount, with number 4 of each rank remaining mounted, they are to return to their proper ranks and formations. This is a critical step as it keeps organization in a very confusing moment in time. The troopers will then pass the reins with the right hand over the head of the horse and hook up the saber without letting go the reins. The number 3 of each rank give the reins to the number 4 man, who remain mounted. Number 2 and 1 engage the end of the reins in the headstall of the bridle of the horse, which is on the left, passing them under the noseband and the cheek piece of the bridle, and tying them in a slip knot so that each horse may be about 1 foot from the one which he is tied to. Face to the front, unsling the carbine, and come to the carry. Then the instructor commands, platoon, into line, creating the skirmish line. Notice how nothing is said about link straps or clipping them to the halter or the bit for that matter. No mention of link straps was made. Well, Poinset's was a manual that existed before the war even started and may have been considered a little bit old school, and maybe the updated Cook's cavalry tactics mentions link straps as we use them today in reenacting. Let's see what Cook says. Number 3 of each rank give the reins to number 4 who remain mounted. Number 2 and 1 engage the end of the reins in the headstall of the bridle of the horse which is on the left, passing them under the noseband and the cheek piece of the bridle and tying them in a slip knot, so that each horse may be about 1 foot from the one which he is tied to. Face to the front, unsling the carbine, and come to the carry. Then the instructor commands, into line, thus creating the skirmish line. So if you didn't catch it, the only difference between Poinset's and Cook's is the preparatory and action commands on the very last order of into line, having nothing to do with linking the horses. In fact, there's a little documentation on our beloved link strap, or even adequate information on exactly how to secure the link strap, or what the exact procedure should be when utilizing it in your file mates. From what I have found, there is only a few period sources that mention the use of the link strap, all of which have the exact same wording and obviously copied it from one of the original sources. Don't know which copied it from which, but they all have the exact same text. I will use the 2 most common available sources. The first one is Skirmish Drill for Mounted Troops, printed by Ritchie and Donovan in 1861. And the second is Regulations and Instructions for the Field Service of the U.S. Cavalry in Time of War by none other than George B. McClellan, published in 1862. They both say the following. In addition to the usual equipment of a cavalry soldier, each man will be provided with a link for the purpose of securing his horse whenever he dismounts. It will be buckled in the halter ring of the headstall, and when not wanted for immediate use, will be hooked up by the same snap in the same ring. Additionally, it states, to link after dismounting, the man stands to horse, faces about to the rear, and takes the link which hangs from the halter ring of the horse of his left file in his hand. seizes his own horse by the bit near the mouth, and draws the horse of his left file towards his own until he can hook the snap into the curb ring. In hooking, the nails of his right hand are down. To facilitate the linking, the horse holder should bear his horse's head well towards the number 3 man. So there you have it. Even though about 3 different period manuals talk about using the link strap, they all say the same identical thing, meaning they got it from the same source somewhere. And if you read a lot of period manuals, you'll see this a lot in those manuals. The description answers 2 issues that are commonly argued about in our reenacting hobby today. Number 1, where to secure and store the link strap when not in use. And question number 2, the procedure to link once the order of prepare to fight on foot has been given. So to answer our first question, our link strap should be secured to the halter ring from both ends when not employed. One thing to note regarding this method of storage is that there is a chance your horse will get a foot caught in the loop created if grazing or pawing at the same time. Although not common, it has happened even in our own ranks. We actually had one of our sergeants, his horse got caught right here and was trying to go and was wondering why, and it was because he got caught in that loop created in the link strap. Now on to the next question, the correct procedure for linking to other horses. This completely changes the procedure for how our hobby traditionally links. Instead of the number 1 using his link strap to link to number 2, who uses it to link to number 3, and then the 3 hands his leader up to number 4, no, it's actually the opposite. Number 1 should manipulate the strap from the number 2 horse and move the number 2 horse close to him and link the curb ring. Then, number 2 man reaches over to handle the number 3 horse's link and then links it to his, not the other way around. While variation almost certainly occurred in the field and on campaign, and troopers may have done things slightly different out of ease or greater efficiency, it is still important to note how they were trained on drill. So with Poinsett and Cooks not using links and McClellan and others talking about links, just how common were link straps with the Federal cavalry during the American Civil War? We can easily say that early on in the war, they definitely were not common. However, in accessing the National Archives and ordnance reports from 6 active cavalry units, we found the following. The 8th Pennsylvania, Company B, in June of '64 had 0 link straps. The 6th Pennsylvania in '63 and '64, they had also 0 link straps. The 10th New York Cavalry had 57 link straps in mid-1864. The 3rd Pennsylvania had 27 link straps in '64. The 1st Vermont had 0 link straps from '63 to '64. The 1st Massachusetts Cavalry had 0 link straps from '63 to '64. So in a representation of close to 500 troops for each of those regiment companies, we found only 84 link straps total out of a possible 500 troopers. And that was even including records from September of 1864, which was very late in the war. Now keep in mind, this is definitely not enough data to make a blank statement for all volunteer cavalry units, but a percentage of only 19% in those 6 units makes us question whether link straps were actually NUG, normal, usual, or general, or not. So if they weren't normal, usual, or general for the standard cavalry trooper in the American Civil War, then why do the vast majority of reenactors use these link straps rather than tie their reins to the bridle as Poinsett and Cooks actually specifies? And for that matter, why don't reenactors clip to the curb ring as specified in the only source that talks about using link straps? Both of these questions can be answered with the overall safety and health of the horse in mind. While the original cavalry horses were drilled and ridden continually, reenacting horses definitely are not. The horses many of us use at reenactments only get to play war horse no more than a dozen or so times per year, which is hardly enough practice to get used to it. So used to it that there would be no worry in linking one to another, or the power of one horse directly connected to the curb ring of another horse, damaging and hurting that horse. So obviously seriousness of safety is in mind. However, while connecting the link strap to the curb ring is understandably not even considered in reenacting today, I propose a challenge to my fellow reenactors in training for dismounted skirmishing by tying your reins as both drill manuals at the time specify. It is arguably more accurate, more challenging, and honestly a little bit of fun to add to your drill. Our group has tried tying a few times. It is a challenge and it does take a while to get used to, but it does add to the realism and the authenticity of your reenacting unit. But I must be honest with my modern reenacting self by saying that using the link strap is definitely easier, quicker, and more reliable than some of our troopers' not tying ability is for sure. So this is an interesting and challenging question, as whatever answer I give will actually be historically wrong. So please take what I say with a grain of salt. So many in our hobby clip to these side square buckles, the top buckle by the ear, and most commonly the main ring at the bottom of the halter. So personally, if we are going to do something inauthentically, or wrong per se, let's use at least some reasoning behind it. I have two reasons why I personally like to link to the main halter ring. Number one, the manual already wants both ends of the link strap connected to this ring when not in use. And secondly, it is arguably one of the strongest points on the halter. And lastly, it is a big and easy target when trying to clip or unclip in a hurry. For these reasons, I like to link to the main ring. But again, please keep in mind that this is not right or authentic in any way. In fact, this is a common reenactorism. So if possible, tie your reins rather than using your link strap. But if you must use your link strap, clip to something strong and easy to access. So, linking your horse, the right, kinda right, and wrong but safe way to do it. And this is only the first step in actually being able to skirmish and drill dismounted. Thanks again for watching the 11th OVC. We hope to see you on the field, and until then, ride hard.